before anything miraculous occurs, before the extraordinary unfolds, and before what we once thought impossible bows to possibility, there's always a moment, a pause, a choice of perspective that determines what happens next. If you look closely, you'll see that Jesus never rushed, never scrambled to manipulate events, never tried to force reality into submission. Instead, he spoke from a place of alignment so pure that the very atmosphere would adjust at the sound of his voice. The world around him would respond before there was the slightest shred of evidence to suggest a change, and what's incredible is that this power didn't reside in elaborate rituals, long-winded words, or complex systems. No, it rested in something much simpler, and yet far more profound. Let me take you on a journey right into this reality. Imagine the countless prayers we utter, sometimes overflowing with hope, sometimes heavy with desperation. How often do we catch ourselves repeating requests, pushing, pleading, bargaining, hoping for the tiniest crack in the clouds, and then we wonder why nothing changes, why the world feels as unmoving as stone. But Jesus modeled something entirely different. He didn't rely on pleading or convincing. When he spoke from perfect certainty, with such unwavering trust that creation itself would rearrange to accommodate his words. Consider the story of Lazarus in John 11:41. Picture the stillness, a sealed tomb with mourners grieving. No pulse, no breath, only silence where hope should have lived. Jesus stands before that darkness, eyes lifted, and what does he do? He utters a phrase so basic, so universally understandable, that it feels almost out of place in the context of the miraculous. Thank you. It wasn't for what he was seeing. There was no heartbeat yet, no evidence for his senses to confirm. He wasn't speaking to the dead. He was aligning himself with the unchanging eternal source. The power wasn't in the situation, it was in his awareness, his gratitude, a knowing that God always, always hears. And it happens again just as plainly in John 6:1, before baskets of bread and fish fill the hands and hearts of thousands, before even a crumb multiplied, before loaves became abundance. Jesus said it again. Those same two words. Thank you. Not as reaction, as if he needed proof to celebrate, but as initiation, as if gratitude itself opened the gates of heaven and said, let it be. Because with Jesus, gratitude didn't follow the miracle, it preceded it. It was the command that called the unseen into form, the vibration that made the invisible real. This isn't just a story, it's a blueprint. It's a reminder that when you access gratitude, not as polite manners or surface-level optimism, but as a deep, unwavering certainty, you become a co-creator with the divine. You're not narrating the story you see, you're authoring the one yet to unfold. To say thank you from that depth isn't to deny what is, it's to invite what could be. And this is what Paul was getting at in 1 Thessalonians 5:18. In everything, give thanks, not after things work out, not when it's convenient, not once it's obvious, in everything. Because that posture of gratitude doesn't passively wait for things to align, it actively initiates alignment. Gratitude is like a tuning fork for the heart, resonating with heaven's frequency, shifting us from anxiety to trust, from aimless waiting to purposeful receiving. When you worship through gratitude, fear dissolves, restlessness quiets, and worry gives way to wonder. It's not that you have to see the evidence before you believe, but when you truly comprehend where the promise comes from, you realize faith isn't about probability. It's about proximity to the one who promised. That's how Jesus moved with such authority, because he operated from that fixed law of trust, and everything, blindness, lack, loss, responded accordingly. So let's focus on those two words, thank you. Seemingly simple yet supernaturally charged. Spoken from faith, these words do more than acknowledge kindness. They echo the agreement between earth and heaven. Every time you say them with conviction, you're broadcasting certainty. You're letting the world know you recognize the blueprint has already shifted. That manifestation begins first on the inside. To express gratitude in advance is to trust more in what's unseen than what's visible. It isn't delusion, it's maturity, it's spiritual authority. When your voice is shaped by gratitude, you stop being a pawn on the chessboard of circumstance. You become a player, one who shapes, moves, and commands the game through faith. Jesus laid it out in Mark 11:24. Whatever you ask in prayer, believe that you have received it, and it will be yours. This wasn't a magical incantation. This was a declaration of spiritual order. He didn't say to hope you might receive. He instructed you to believe you already have. How do we make that real? Gratitude is the bridge. Gratitude lets you stand firm in the storm, at peace before the promise unfolds, trusting that what is unseen is far more real than temporary setbacks. This is how saints and visionaries in every age have accessed peace in chaos and abundance in scarcity. Gratitude acts as alignment, not inertia. You're not stuck waiting for evidence. You're proclaiming it's already handled and living out that reality. When you do so, your internal landscape shifts. You think differently, speak differently, act from authentic boldness instead of cautious hope. As your inner world transforms, you'll notice the external world adjusting in kind. So if you want to experience miracles, don't wait passively for rescue or proof. Become gratitude. Become thanksgiving in motion. Let it saturate your words, color your perspective, and influence your responses to every circumstance. But how do we embody this practically? How do you move from concept to lived experience, especially when life feels unpredictable and uncertainty tries to pull you under? Let's build this transformational practice step by step, and I invite you to treat it like a sacred experiment, not just for today, but as a rhythm for tomorrow and beyond. Tonight, before you close your eyes, make a conscious decision to step into Jesus' example. Don't theorize, actualize. Let's walk through a guided reflection that Jesus himself modeled, one that transforms prayer from a desperate plea into a creative act. Step 1. Remember the day. Take a moment right now. Close your eyes if you wish. Slow your breathing. Relax your grip on the worries you've been carrying. Scan back through the hours, not with judgment, but with soft curiosity. See the unnoticed gifts, the hidden mercies, the moments so routine you almost missed them. Think about the morning that greeted you, the sunlight peeking in through blinds, the surprising comfort of a warm shower, the scent of fresh coffee swirling in the air. Remember snacks shared with loved ones, spontaneous messages that brought relief, the quiet presence of a friend, or the simple hush when things finally grew still. These are not accidents. These are reminders that you are and always have been carried. Even when lost in thought or wrapped up in stress, provision moved silently on your behalf. Now whisper these words so softly, but with meaning. Thank you for that. Don't rush. Linger on each memory. Let your gratitude find both the obvious and the overlooked. Perhaps you remember the strength that showed up unexpectedly, the compassion that appeared when you needed it most, or the gentle nudge to pause and reflect, right here, right now. As you do, notice the shift within. A warmth in your chest, a loosening in your jaw, a bit more air in your lungs. This is the feeling of alignment. This is how gratitude creates a pathway for peace and opens doors that striving could never unlock. God doesn't move in noise or panic. True presence, divine presence, inhabits peace. When you rest in gratitude, you become an invitation for that peace to draw near. In remembering, you return to that truth. You are already surrounded by grace, cradled in care, anchored by something more trustworthy than circumstance. Step 2. Redeem the pain. Let's face it, some parts of the day are hard, maybe even unbearable. What about that disappointment that bruised your spirit? The setback that threatened your hope, that rejection, that unanswered call, that heartbreak, that news you didn't want to hear. Most of us would rather look away, push past, pretend it didn't matter. But what if transformation hides in the places we most wish to avoid? Bring that painful memory forward. Don't deny it or edit it. Hold it gently, even if it stings. This is where the real shift begins. Speak gratitude here, too. Thank you. Not because what happened was easy or fair or deserved, but because even in heartbreak there is a mystery. The mystery that God can redeem and repurpose even your losses. Gratitude isn't glossing over pain. It is the act of placing pain in the hands of one who sees the end from the beginning. Thank you for the lesson I don't yet understand. Thank you for the grace that is carrying me, even through the confusion. Thank you for the strength you are building, even in weakness. This isn't naive optimism. This is the faith that believes something beautiful might yet be born out of ashes. In the Lazarus story, Jesus was grateful, not because anything visible had transpired, but because his trust was deeper than circumstances. Before the miracle, before evidence, he said, "Father, I thank you. It wasn't sight that created faith. It was faith that shaped reality." This is spiritual maturity, to give thanks before you receive, to sing your hallelujah in the hollow of pain, to anticipate God's movement even in stillness. If you can say thank you in the hardest moments, you are participating in a mystery far greater than mere positivity. You're welcoming God into your struggle. Gratitude is the doorway where heaven enters time, where the divine transforms your history, and where newness is always possible. Step 3. Release tomorrow. Now inhale deeply, exhale slowly, and imagine everything that awaits: the to-do list, the deadlines, the odds and ends of a not-yet-lived tomorrow. See the anxieties lined up in your mind, clamoring for your attention, each demanding preparation or worry. But instead of bracing yourself, release it. Let your hands unclench. In quiet confidence, you say, "Father, thank you that it's already handled." That's not capitulation. That's not giving up. That is surrender with authority, a trust that knows who holds all things. When you speak gratitude over what is yet to come, you let peace settle where stress used to reign. You are no longer living reactively, trying to control and predict the future by the strength of your will. Now you are aligned with the certainty that the author of time is already ahead of you, already preparing, already making a way. So tonight, let thank you be the benediction over your day. Let those words be what you carry into sleep, what you offer in the quiet moments as your mind drifts toward the horizon of the next sunrise. Gratitude is not the ending of prayer. It is the opening into peace. And in peace, we find God, resting, ruling, redeeming, inviting us into collaboration. I want to give you a personal invitation. For the next 24 hours, make a bold decision. Instead of asking, wishing, striving, or rehearsing lack, simply give thanks. Every time your thoughts drift into anxiety or temptation to control, gently return to thank you. Each time an inconvenience or setback emerges, speak gratitude over it. When fear rises, let thankfulness answer. When doubt whispers, let gratitude shout a little louder. Watch closely. Permission given to gratitude becomes an invocation of miracles. Life begins to move around you in ways you never expected. Doors open, relationships heal, inner clarity sharpens. There's an order and abundance that follows you, not because you're forcing or striving, but because you are living in the cadence of heaven. Remember, miracles aren't just for the pages of Scripture or the saints of old. The same cosmic law that responded to Jesus answers today when it recognizes that frequency of trust, the language of gratitude. To say thank you with pure intent is to participate in a creative force that rewrites your present and invites the new into your future. Practice this habit as often as you remember. Set reminders if you need to. Write it on your bathroom mirror. Before tasks, before conversations, before problems or solutions, begin with gratitude. Not out of superstition or formula, but out of alignment with what's most real. Think for a moment about the quantum world. The pioneers of physics discovered that observation changes reality at the subatomic level. Is it any wonder, then, that awareness, faith, and gratitude could alter circumstances, could make a way where none previously existed? Your words are not echoes lost in the void. They are invitations to shift possibility. When you catch yourself spiraling with what if and how will it work out, change the script immediately. Thank you that it's already done. Let that be your response to uncertainty. Don't allow circumstances to dictate your emotional weather. Come into agreement with a deeper reality where all things are being held together for your good. Your life is a story, and gratitude is the pen. When you narrate your experience with appreciation for the known, for the unknown, for the resolved and the unresolved, you are living in partnership with abundance. Review your evening tonight. Name 3 things that you're grateful for without reservation, and 3 things that you're uncertain or uneasy about. Speak thank you over all 6, first with intention and then with release. Experience the peace that follows, the hush that signals trust in something greater. In the coming days, cultivate this state not just as a bedtime ritual, but as a way of moving through the world. Let gratitude shape how you answer emails, approach family, handle setbacks, greet successes, become known for your thankfulness, not just as etiquette, but as spiritual vitality. If you do this, really give yourself to this practice, you'll find that miracles aren't rare interventions, but habitual responses to aligned living. You'll see how your inner shift causes external rearrangement, how people are drawn to your peace, how solutions come with unexpected ease. Remember, gratitude isn't delusion or passive waiting, it's creative leadership. You're saying to yourself and all of creation, I refuse to live bound to appearance. I choose to live tuned to essence, to the rhythm and flow of divine order. So tonight let your last words be, thank you. Begin tomorrow the same way. See how this transforms not just a moment, an hour, or even a day, but the entire trajectory of your life. If what you heard speaks to you, take the step of planting your faith outwardly. Leave a thank you in the comments, not as routine, but as declaration, a first act of gratitude that sets everything in motion. Let it be your affirmation, your anchor, your launching pad for the miracles waiting just on the other side of your awareness. And every time you whisper those words, whether in darkness, confusion, or triumph, know that you are seen, supported, and surrounded by a love that responds not to need, but to faith that remembers. When you remember to give thanks, you become the miracle you've been seeking.